Well, welcome to our May meeting. This is the last meeting of this sitting board before the newly elected members, which will be Katie Brown, who will be serving the rest of Christie's term, and Daniela Sharma, who's with us in the audience today, who will be sadly taking over Marilyn Kusher's position. And you will be missed. And we thank you for your service. And please enjoy the brownies.
Oh,
I did bring them.
thank you.
Very good. Okay. Do we have minutes to review yet? I'm sorry, I didn't get an opportunity
No.
to do that.
No, we do not today.
She was a little busy.
I've been very
busy for the
busy.
past,
Yes. So,
You'll get them before next meeting.
right, and we'll have a chance to review them and approve them then. Okay. Great. So, Beth sent some warrants. Warrants, weren't they called?
Yeah, so it's called a warrant. So there's a list of all the bills that we have to pay, and then all of the invoices. You can actually look through them and see what they are. I had to pay out of pocket for the Mass Library Association conference for myself and 2 staff members because the town credit card got compromised. So I'd like to get reimbursed. Please sign the bills.
Okay.
We had the
Yeah.
funds for it, right?
We do. Oh yeah, it's just with the move and not having printing and computers and internet access for some time, I couldn't get online and print it and do it all in advance. So we had to register. Kind
Oh,
of
that's
last
what the
minute.
reimbursement?
Yeah,
There, got it.
it's a big number, and that's why. But everything else, I think, is books. We have been separating out moving expenses that were appropriate, like the movers are not getting paid from the library expense account. But if we needed, I don't know, a few new bulletin boards, we can pay for that out of our office supply account. It's not really a moving expense to set up the new space, so those kinds of things. Yeah, the movers aren't on there.
Yeah.
Sure.
Katie, do you first?
And I do have. Again, I haven't had copying and printing, so I do have previous week's bills if you want to take a look at those too. But I don't know that it's actually a complete set. I can.
Do we have copy printing all up and running now?
So we have copying and printing, but because I can't, I did not have it on my computer, and I've been in and out, so I couldn't meet with IT to get it connected. To get the fax set up, I need to print and sign something. So I didn't get to that until today when I was back at work. And I'm gonna, I guess, just scan over the order for the fax. So we have everything except faxing at the moment. And self-check is not set up because we continue to wait for an electrician to come and install electrical outlets where the self-check, the coffee pot is going. They also need to re-lamp all of the very dim lights in the sanctuary. It's very dark in there.
Yeah.
So we've been waiting since the 6th. Andy keeps checking in. He keeps saying he's coming. Andy says that he's on top of it. So he's calling again. Hopefully tomorrow. It's dark. Yeah, but that's the only outstanding issue though. I think overall the move went smoothly. Staff were hugely helpful. Really, I can't say enough good things about the building department and giving us Pat and Paul to help, and Andy overseeing so much.
You were concerned about potentially the air quality
Yes.
and what?
Has that improved? Because I did notice it myself.
Yeah, I'm hearing it's musty from people, but we had the same professional air quality people come out and take samples over a period of time and measure carbon dioxide and mold and allergens, and they did not find, again, there's no significant findings that would cause really any reaction, but people are reacting. It's an old building. They did find 2 spots with dampness, and we're remediating that, and I have not followed up to see if they did bleach and paint as instructed. But just having the windows open made a difference. And when we started in April, the heat was on, so the systems were running. We were able to open the windows, which, we weren't in the other building, which is nice. And we have air conditioners and fans that we can set to fan mode to bring fresh air into the building.
The building was closed for 2 years, correct?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And somebody said, well, did you, open up the walls and go under the rug and into the ceiling tiles? It's not our building. It's not really what we do. They do air quality, not what's, in the walls. So, and we didn't do it in the children's room.
Do you think that over time it'll improve? Because
It might, but
I came back there the second time, it was different than the first time. There was a couple days in between.
No.
I think
I
that's.
mean, I guess I don't know what
yeah,
else to ask to look for.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Well, there's nothing that's harmful if it's just that it's musty. I mean, you're gonna get that with old buildings, and the purpose is to just clear them out, right?
Yeah.
When you move in, clean it really good, and it's like those old cabins. They just
Yeah.
that sit all year, and you get in there, you clean it out, and use it all summer. So hopefully it'll improve.
Yeah. They vacuumed and they steam cleaned the carpets, but only where there wasn't furniture got placed before they cleaned.
Yeah.
So we cleaned around everything, and that did make a difference.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, we have the one person who seemed to be reacting strongly. We put her in the tiled kitchen next to the open window,
I see.
and then we'll just people can track and report, and we'll see if any other issues come up.
Okay.
But patrons who visit, if they notice things, should absolutely tell a staff member, and we'll document that as well. And then do more testing, but I don't know what we'll find. I just
I think it's gonna improve.
Well,
I have a cold. I'm not reacting to. I just came from the
Okay.
building. I have a cold. Just to be clear.
I think we might have, maybe you can tell us a little bit more about the temporary space, but I just want to get past the bill signage,
Yeah.
which, just for Katie's edification, I think I heard Martina just mentioning what it is we do and what our responsibilities are there regarding bills. And generally, we oversee all the expenditures and make sure that Beth is sticking to the budget that she proposed at the beginning of the year, and the monies that have been supplied by the town for her to use. And so she gives us a nice budget statement that tells us how much of the expenditure is spent in different categories, whether it be print materials, games, DVDs, databases. And so we kind of use that as a marker to kind of, and she does as well, to keep track of her expenditures to make sure that she's expending the budget that's that's been given to her by the town. But beyond that, the bill signage is just to make sure that there's nothing kind of out of the ordinary. So it's our responsibility to oversee that. And Beth's pretty good about letting us know if there's anything abnormal, so that we can head off any questions.
Do we have to vote
That makes
on
sense.
reimbursing her?
Thank you. I'm reimbursing me.
So she's not
It's
being
the whole,
reimbursed.
the whole package, really. Yeah.
Do
So
we have to move to approve that for you, or do we?
No, it's just part of the whole. Yeah, it's part of the whole, except the bills.
Got it,
that you're
okay.
signing.
Just wondering.
We-
Thank goodness.
Typically, there's
Right.
somebody being reimbursed. Beth just mentioned it because it's normal.
Okay.
And because
larger
it's
than
over
normal.
$1,000 right now.
Yeah.
yeah,
a lot of
it's
money.
not coming out of state aid, right? It's just
No.
coming out of
No.
the,
No.
it's something
The
that was
budget.
already
Yeah,
budgeted.
mileage and conference fees and dues.
Yeah.
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 So
Yeah.
normally,
I don't know if I have those.
several of the librarians are getting reimbursed for something or other.
Yeah. Yeah, we do use, we follow state procurement, and we do use Massachusetts approved vendors as often as possible, but sometimes we just need to run, to Stop and Shop to pick up something for our program, and that's out of pocket because we don't have a town credit card we can use because it gets compromised apparently when people borrow it, so.
Okay.
Well, because there's only one, that's kind of,
Yeah,
I mean, how
yeah,
could,
departments just aren't allowed to have them. So, we try and do everything by invoice so that people aren't out money, but it's not always possible.
Okay. Any questions?
No.
No? Great.
Makes sense.
So for membership, Daniela was a fantastic recruit. I think we're excited to have you on the board. And Katie as well. I'm glad that you
Thank you.
stepped up, and we're excited to be a write-in for us. So that's great. So I think we can probably strike that one from the agenda until we have other needed changes. All right. So on to ongoing business. The building program grant. Beth.
Sure, the most exciting thing is that the building plans and schematics got approved at the planning board meeting that I believe was Monday night, which is one of 4 or 5 approvals that we have left. So we still need approval from Conservation Commission, particularly because we need to do some shifting, I think, of wetlands, and we're concerned about the wetland buffer with our parking lot. We need approval from the Historic District Commission because we're making significant changes to this building that's on the common. I went to a meeting of the Historic Commission who had some questions and concerns about the look of the main reading room, which they would like to see restored more to a 1927 style. We had intended to put new furnishings in it, and they'd like to see the old ones refinished, which had been a proposal originally. They also were looking for a weights and measures cabinet to be installed permanently on display at the library, because we don't have a museum or any space in any other town department or building to house it. So that was an interesting conversation that we had. But I think we're going to be able to do what they asked for to sort of get their approval. They don't have to officially sign off, but we certainly want their approval and support of the project, and they really brought up good points. We also still need an approval from the Mass Historic Commission, which kind of works either for, with, and against our local historic district commission, where Massachusetts often wants a renovated building with an attachment or expansion to look and read different and new, and not take over or supersede the historical part of the building. So locally, we tend to want it. The historic district would like it to look old, and we think we're concerned Mass Historical might want it to look new. So we're just sort of waiting to see how that plays out. But the architect has to make an appointment with Massachusetts Historic Commission and kind of bring them what our local historic district has approved to see if they are on the same page. And I don't know what happens or how much we go back and forth if they're not. But it's things like, do we want to do the siding in the front facing the inn, or is it going to be brick? So we're still having
But
those conversations.
You've had preliminary meetings with them and
We've
they were okay
had
with it.
preliminary meetings, and they were generally okay with it. Yes.
Because it's a beautiful design. I'd hate to have us
I
change
know.
it.
Well, it's not major change. It's building envelope stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the windows that face the inn right now on the design are mullioned with lots of little panes. So one way to make it look more modern would be to just put in windows that don't have as many panes. So it's pretty basic and easy stuff.
That would be okay.
Yeah.
I'd love to keep the brick if we can.
We would love, yeah. And Ken said, you can make it read different if that's the requirement, just by having a slightly different sized brick, or the brick goes in a different direction, or the bricks themselves are a slightly different color. A complementary color that doesn't look off. We wouldn't want it to be glaringly different. But so those are just kind of ongoing things.
Oh, Beth, the reason why they have so much say in this is because we were given a grant a while ago?
I think
Is
that's a
that
piece of
something?
it,
Because it's
yeah.
called a preservation restriction?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, from the cupola.
From the cupola, yeah.
fix that we did. Yeah, but also, I mean, they're concerned. It is in a historic district, so the state has concern, but they just might have a slightly different purview of historic district than local. And that can change with different people employed by the state or serving on that local board too. So what works now could have been a different conversation 10 years ago or in 20 years. Yeah. So that's where we're at. The project is moving forward, in that they're working on the construction documents. So they haven't, I think, as they've made changes for these presentations, for all these approvals we need to get, they've made their big blueprints and brought them to presentations, but it's been a little bit challenging to get digitized copies that we can then share. So we're still working on that. Dana and Doug have been really patient. They really want to update their fundraising brochure, but I just don't have new drawings. And now, again, we're talking about, we might change the brick to siding and the style of the window. So as soon as we have it, we'll get it to you. I think we're still 6 to 8 weeks away from breaking ground because of the delayed approval
6 to 8
processes
weeks.
that we had. Yeah, so it may
What's the
seem
day now?
that we've moved out prematurely.
okay.
But part of the
Well, that's what
reason
we're
for
saying.
moving so soon is because we have summer reading coming. And that's a huge undertaking, and we really wanted to make sure we were settled and not moving in the middle of our summer reading program. So it made sense, to get out of that building. It will be empty, for 6 to 8 weeks. So, stuff happens.
So you're thinking more like August for the
I'm still hoping for a July groundbreaking, but
Okay.
yeah, because we have to go out to bid for 3 to 4 weeks.
because July is I mean that's close.
I know. I know. Yeah. So
That's more like 6.
yeah.
Oh well, end of July. Okay.
As soon as we have a construction company chosen, then we will work with them
Okay.
to say, how soon can you start? And they might say right away, and they might say 2 weeks, and they might say September, but hopefully it'll be more like July. Next building committee meeting is scheduled for June 3rd at 6 o'clock in this building,
Is that a
Next.
Monday?
Monday night.
Maybe I'll see if I can get there.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions for Beth? I guess any, we won't know if any other monies are coming to us until like the end of the next fiscal
Yeah.
budget year.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
so that 460,000
60.
was, because it was unallocated at the tail end of the last year's.
Yeah.
Did that get through yet?
Not that I've heard.
What's the deadline for that to make it?
I don't know what the House budget timeline is.
I know, I mean, what did when did we have to? When's our budget end? What month?
Oh, June. So we're
Oh, we
same
still
as the state.
we
yeah.
still have a whole month.
Yeah, so well, they're going to be sending a check for 460,000 for the remainder of the grant. Like they paid out other
yeah.
libraries, but then that's not actually like one of our 20% repayments or reimbursements.
Right.
That's just extra money we're getting, right? So next year, because we're still on the waiting list, we're not going to get a full reimbursement payment. We might, if there's extra money again left next year, they'll figure that out around April, ask us to do paperwork, vote on it at the state level. But they have not, to my knowledge, yet approved the big $250 million bond,
Okay.
which would that's really where our reimbursement money will
Okay.
come from. So our first reimbursement payment will be that minus the 460,000 plus any money we get next year, plus possibly a little bit more. We're probably 3 years on the waiting list
But we
based
think,
on our position.
but we think that
As far as I know, it'll go through.
by the end of June, we should have that check from
Yes.
the state for 460
Yeah,
million.
or they cut it June 30th and we get it in July. But but
Because if we get it, we can put it in the bank. It can count for this year.
yeah, it goes into an account that's not a fiscal year tied account,
right,
so it'll help pay out partial expenses
Okay.
from this year, and because we can't like use the whole lump sum to pay for currently due bills, because the way the grant works, remember, is a 50% reimbursement. So if we have a bill from our architect for $400,000 and we got in 460, we can't take that whole 400 and
I get it.
pull it from that and give it the whole thing to them. We can pay 250 out to them because it's a 51%.
Do we care whether or not it comes by, we get it in by the end of June, or is it not that
No,
important?
whenever it comes, it comes, and they know the drill, and our vendors have been understanding. Plus, there's still, I actually don't know what the status of the borrowing is. I didn't go to, we ended up canceling our last meeting, so I still don't know that they've borrowed any piece of money yet to be paying on these bills.
Okay.
Yeah, Andy's doing the accounting. My job is to run the library.
That's fine. I
Thank
just
God.
want to know by the end of the month.
But
That's
yes,
good.
and
It's
when
on
it's-
its way. It's all.
Yeah, it should be on its way. The check is in the mail, as they say, and we'll try to do a press release and photo op, because it is really a big deal that,
It's
that they
huge.
gave us this money and that
very
we're moving
huge.
forward. It's unique, and I'm really excited for us. So
Can't wait.
Thank you, Beth.
Call me when it happens. Text me.
Do we have a budget to review?
so I think I sent it. So I'm slightly over in equipment, and I think that's just because we misallocated an invoice that I need to go and track down.
Okay.
So sorry, this is my personal email. I have to get to my work one.
You're slightly over in what department?
So I'm slightly over right now in my equipment line. So the way the budget works, remember, is there's a chunk for personnel, a chunk for expenses with a whole bunch of accounts under it, and then a chunk for equipment. And if I'm running out of money in personnel, I have to go to town meeting to ask to move money from another account. So we did that at town meeting, and it got approved because we've been paying temps to help cover.
Yep.
Right, so we moved 5,000 from expenses to personnel. But when I'm over in equipment and town meeting's over, then I have to go back and track and see if there's something that we paid out of equipment that we shouldn't have. That maybe it was an office supply instead, and it just got mistagged on our end when we turn the bills into accounting. So it's an easy fix. We can't be over in any of those 3 account lines. We can be over within the expenses, though, because from line to line, it's a bottom line budget. And
Right.
it doesn't
Okay.
matter as much. So when I got this printout that I forwarded to you, I went, "Oh crap, we're over. I need to go and fix that." But I haven't been at my desk to sit down and do it yet. I think this is it. So it's probably always concerning. So this is the budget to date as of, I asked for May 15th, but Anita, when she sent it, said this does not include the move of money from town meeting. So when I have 3 more pay periods to go, which I do from now until the end of June, and I look at my personnel line and it's at 83.85%, that's a little concerning. It might be actually just close to where it should be, but I was concerned we would be going over, which is why I moved some money. So we have six and a half weeks or so left to go for the end of the fiscal year. So energy, we've underspent a little bit, which is really great. Non-energy is low because we haven't gotten a new sewer bill yet. Repair and maintenance, I put in a 20% contingency every year because to account for the 90-year-old building. We haven't spent all the contingency, so some things like air quality will be coming out of that. And so like I said, we needed to do some painting and fixing of things. Contracted services are usually our databases, and that account gets spent right up at the beginning of most fiscal years. Rentals and leases is our copier Xerox service and our mailbox. So that's actually a little bit low. 12%. I'll have to go back and see why. Oh, 12% left. Sorry. Yeah, that's what's left. So we might be over in that category when we get the next Xerox bill. What else? Professional and technical tends to be professional development stuff. Sometimes books that we purchase for the librarians to use on the job. Marketing, it looks like we're a little bit under, so we have money to play with. Conference and seminar fees, that's going to be closed out probably with the reimbursement that I just put in for Mass Library Conference. Communications is our phone lines. So again, and postage, so again, it makes sense that's around 90. Office supplies is low, but I'll have more bills coming in as we need more waste baskets and we need more clocks and more bulletin boards. So that line will go up. The book budget is always really important to look at because we're mandated by state law that 15% of our expenditures has to come out of that educational materials line. So we have to hit 100% on that in the next 6 weeks, which we'll absolutely do. There's always an option to June 29th, purchase a whole bunch of ebooks. As long as we buy before the 30th, it doesn't matter if the invoice comes in July, it's still on last year's budget. So there's a way to encumber that money and save it so that we're making sure it's coming out of the right pot. We're over in periodicals. Another way to make up that educational supply, lack, I guess, is you can actually put these two numbers together because anything that the public uses, whether they take it out of the library or use it in the library, counts as an educational supply. So toys and manipulatives, puzzles, maps on the wall, databases, ebooks, magazines and newspapers, that all counts. We can't count clay that we give out or a hat that we give out at a program. That's not an educational supply. So it's okay that periodicals is over because so many of these other accounts are under.
Are periodicals the magazines?
Yeah, anything that comes periodically is a periodical, whether it's monthly, weekly, or daily. It's an old-fashioned word for it. In-state travel, we actually, I guess, have not been driving around as much, and nobody ended up flying off to any conferences this year, so that line is low. Programs is actually a little bit underspent for this time of year, which I'm surprised about, and I'm sure that the ladies back at the library will be happy if I go back and say, hey, you can buy some stuff for summer reading now if you'd like to. So we're at 82% for expenses, which is ballpark, I think, for this time of year. So even though some of these are over and some are under, I don't feel like we're in any trouble.
Money and maintenance.
Huh?
Money and maintenance.
Yeah, we still have money in maintenance if you want to spend some money for gardening. Yeah.
At the new place?
Yeah, we're gonna do some container gardens.
So my question is, do the department heads in your team kind of know what their
Yeah.
expenditures are?
Yeah.
Or do you have to kind of say, hey, you've got money to spend?
So
or
usually they're tracking really carefully. I did get a message, I think, because we weeded out a lot of the children's nonfiction that was out of date and they made a lot of purchases and they didn't follow quite carefully enough. So I got a mea culpa, we think we went over. And I said, that's okay. We were under in some other places. So we don't need to stress over it, but don't spend any more until I get the budget. And I got the budget. And then I went to conference and we have a great deal for some new space books. Our summer reading program is a Universe of Stories themed, right? So World Book wants to sell me this $500 set, and I sent a picture off to Sarah and Allison and said, "What do you think?" And they're like, "Well, we don't have any money." Like, no, I didn't ask if how are you going to pay for it. We have money. I'm asking, do you want this and do we own it? It's brand new and it fits the theme. So yeah, we're going to get a really nice deal on a set of 3 books. So they generally track their own expenditures and do it pretty well, except when they get a little over it.
For summer programming, if you want someone to talk about like space or eclipses or something.
Ooh, do you want to come? We could probably.
I'm doing a bunch of them in libraries this summer.
So we need to know in January so we can make our calendar. We could do like a pop-up lunch or something. Pop-up program, I think. Or dinner. Yeah.
The same problem with the last eclipse. I was trying to get the program in.
Oh
I
yeah, I
got the
remember
program in
that.
and
I
was
remember
like,
that.
okay, but all the other libraries are asking me now.
Really? Okay. Yeah. So one of the things we did while we were closed is finalize the calendar and printed it so that we could bring it to Fun Fair, so we could have it to give out. So it's hard. We can squeeze something in though. I think that would be fun.
I think we could squeeze her
I
in.
had no idea you were such a expert.
I remember.
That'd be awesome.
What kind of a physicist are you?
Astrophysicist, solar physicist. Yeah, so we're gonna travel to Argentina to see the eclipse. So when I come back,
So you'll have slides.
yeah,
Yeah.
When is that you're doing that?
Okay.
I come back July 8th.
Wait, is that like the Big Bang Theory? Physicist?
Sort of. Well, yes, the astrophysicist thing, yeah. I can understand some of the stuff on the wall. Yeah. I pause it, read it. You know.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. We will figure out a
We
way to
can
make
do
it work.
something.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Okay,
All right. So that's budget.
All right.
fantastic.
And then I did ask for money at the last meeting, up to 5,000 for 2 iPads and up to 3 laptops. And I got a quote, but couldn't print and sign it. So I will be making a purchase in June for those 4 things, probably 4 of the 5 things.
The 5,000 was
Yeah, it was up to 5,000. We need online catalogs, and I wanted to replace them with touchscreen iPads, one in children's and one in the adult area. And then because the teens have their own space now, we're going to buy 2 laptops so we can, like we do with the children's room, circulate laptops within the building to use on site that will print to the central printer.
Right. And was the 5,000 enough?
It was enough. Yeah,
enough.
Or it's enough for. I have to go back and look. It might even be enough to upgrade my 6-year-old laptop because I got a good deal. So we'll see.
excellent.
Yeah, it's certainly enough for the 4 things that I really desperately need. And then I was sort of waiting to see because Heidi's computer is sort of failing, so we'll see who needs it more. And then we didn't. I don't think we've spent anything else out of state aid. I did not ask for a gift account breakdown.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we didn't expend anything in this period. So
Yeah, I think I saw some bills that were being paid out of the gift account,
yeah,
at least when the bills were passed around.
probably summer reading, but we can take a look. Or museum pass renewals.
Or like reimbursement or something to that effect.
Reimbursement shouldn't be paid out of gift. I might have to take a look at that.
Yeah, here.
Unless it's a summer reading expense.
Wasn't, it might have been this one. No, I think it was that one.
There's 2 of the other ones.
Oh, that one would have been in the last report. I'm concerned about this one.
Okay.
This is from a while ago, though. This is the only one that I wouldn't have given you a report.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just saw gift account on like the first or second page.
Summer reading program supplies.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Which the Friends help us cover. That's why.
All right.
very good. Daniela, would you like to join us at the seat like you did that other time? Yeah, please.
Yeah.
So you have to sit in the dark
Yes, in the-
with us.
And I can see the screen. Oh, I can see the screen
Ah,
here. Okay.
yes.
Yeah, we have lots of screens over here.
Feels like my oral defense.
Yes.
Okay, I think we're doing good for time. Anything else we need to jump to for Beth? Why don't we go to IT update for Beth?
Yeah, for the move process too, IT was great and supportive and responsive. So
Good.
yes, it's much appreciated. I don't have anything outstanding. The wireless hubs were relocated and they seem to still be taking statistics in. I can get online and see the usage, which is great.
How's the coverage for the wireless?
I haven't found any issues and no one's reported anything. I'll get back to you. If
I'll let
somebody
you know.
does, I think
Yeah.
it's been.
No,
I'll let you know.
Yeah, you'll let me.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I worked
I'm
there
wireless.
last week for a couple of hours in one of those small rooms, and yeah, the Wi-Fi was excellent. So
Good.
yeah,
Okay. Why don't we jump to the temporary library space for new business on the agenda for Beth? I know you kind of gave us a quick overview on how the move went.
Yeah.
in a bit about the air quality.
Some pictures.
But yeah, anything else you'd like to share with us?
I wonder. These probably aren't going to be in order, but we did some of our own packing, and some they did for us. This is, I think, in the staff kitchen. This is as we were taking the children's room. I'm really sorry if this brings any trauma.
Yeah.
Anybody's been using that room for 25 years. It might look a little trashed. I think this was the view from the main desk going into the moving truck. They had 2 trucks on the second day to take care of furniture on one end while they were doing books from the stacks. All these orange crates, they had to take the books on the 3rd floor off the shelf
May I
and put
just
them in
do
order.
this?
Yeah, go ahead. Thank you. And put it in the crate.
Wow.
This, I think, is looking through from the back of the graphic novel section. You see the red banister for the staircase going up the stairs to the 3rd floor.
Yeah.
It's so empty. We got the dumbwaiter. We haven't been using the dumbwaiter because the rope was frayed, but we decided as we were bringing down weeded materials, you know what, if we lose 6 books we were going to discard anyway, it'll be okay.
Yeah.
Side note, I ended up giving myself elbow bursitis from frantically weeding the collection. Yeah.
How are
it's a
you
little-
doing?
It's
Yeah.
finally starting to feel a little bit better, but it really took staying home and not lifting anything. Yeah.
Glad you're recovering.
Gosh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the train of crates of books to go to the new location. And you know what, the movers, they did really well putting everything back in order. We had Taylor, our page, go through and review, and there were a few sections where we had to move some things around, but for the most part, they were just really professional and knew what they were doing.
That's great.
Yeah, it was tight to get through here.
Yeah.
Yeah, children's room.
Wow.
This is my office in the new space.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, they finally got all the
see.
boxes out. This is where we put the graphic novels. So we have a graphic novel periodical and a CD room with the coloring sheets in it.
Is this all our furniture? This is our
Yeah, so this is
furniture,
our
yeah.
original
Yeah.
furniture that we've moved.
Yep.
And these are the round tables that the Historic Commission, not Historic District Commission, but the Historic Commission would like to see us refinish and reuse in the reading room. So we've got 3 or 4 on site, and supposedly there's a few more in storage. We have most of the Windsor style chairs. The wing chairs are not original and don't have any support left, and I don't recommend keeping them, but something in similar style would certainly be appropriate.
So we'll have some comfortable seating
Yes,
Yeah.
we still will.
because the wing chairs may not be that comfortable. I don't know.
They're really not.
So
I've
have
sat
These
in
just
them.
sink.
Yeah, you
they're
just.
terrible. I think this is before we started filling things in. This is where the audiobooks ended up. I think those chairs went back to my office. This was the children's room as they were setting it up in the hall. Wow. Sorry, some of these are probably blurred. Hopefully there's no pictures of my kids mixed in here. Advance of theirs. This became the teen space. We had these 2 big closets at each end.
Wow.
And took the doors off and used the shelving in the closet because we had so many books in those collections.
Oh wow.
This is starting to set up the children's. So somebody went through and labeled all the rooms with numbers so we would know where to put things. Yeah, it was the chaos that it looks like, honestly. Hopefully I have some of it not looking quite so bad.
It
Yeah.
looks pretty
lovely.
good to
It
me.
does.
When I went in,
Yeah.
and it really looked fabulous. 'Cause
Yeah,
The front,
it's
I'm not sure if it's a sanctuary. I mean, the beginning, wherever you walk in, was a little musty smelling, but with the children and teens and whatever, it was great. It was perfectly, seemed perfectly fine to me.
It's gone away then, I bet.
Right.
Oliver managed to pull a bunch of toys off the shelf, so it was set up perfectly.
So
And
this
I-
is very tall and dark. I'll just
Right,
say.
right. And I have to say, the children's room seems very spacious compared to the
know.
old one.
They have empty shelving. That's why.
Yeah.
Because they waited.
So.
I don't know where that is.
So how is the public getting used to the space? Are they finding the way you've set up some of the rooms to be advantageous versus the old space? You know, like some of the individual rooms. I know you said like you'd have a graphic novel space. I thought that would be kind of cool for the teens.
Yeah. So I have to be honest. I've been at library
Yeah.
conference for 3 days and then in and out with family stuff. So I haven't heard complaints. People seem like really happy to be sitting and using those spaces. Really like the computer setup too. There's sort of this column or aisle of computers. We have a stand-up station more for express, and a couple of sit-down ones. And it's not ideal. There's not like a lot of room to sit and be writing and working. But it's visible, and the copier's right there, and the staff are right there. I think the circulation staff are not as happy with their setup. It feels remote, whereas there seems to be a lot of staff concentrated at the other end of the building. It is dark, it is cramped, and we're still waiting for the electrician to move a big box. And patrons they're excited, and I mean, they were they were walking past the moving truck when we were trying to move out, and then when we were setting up, they were trying to come in and bring their books back, bless their hearts. So the sanctuary has steps up, because it's an altar. So we put up, we didn't take down the wooden barrier that was there, but there's a foot gap. So there's this railing and then a foot gap, and then you're down a step. So we put yellow tape, but people are not shy about like coming right up into the staff area. And if you put a cart to kind of block the space, it's really awkward. Now staff can't get in and out, so it's going to be challenging.
You're kidding, because that's really, it's very clear it's staff area.
I think so too.
Because I was like, I'm not going up there, it's not appropriate.
People will get used to it.
They
Yes,
will. It'll be okay.
We
And
just want patrons to come back and start
Yes.
using. Have you been able to get over there yet, Katie?
No, not yet.
Yeah, so, I think as people get over there and start using it, it'll be apparent and it'll be fine.
Yep. Yep, I was there the second day it was opened, and Heidi was working, so as people walked in, she introduced herself, gave them a quick
yes, we've been doing that.
quick tour around.
Oh,
and-
So here's the space more.
Oh, wow,
Yeah.
looks lovely.
Yeah,
I've been there.
Yeah.
The staff have been really great. So one thing that I had intended to do and haven't gotten to yet is coming up with a map, so that when you walk in, I mean, I think because the printing was kind of an issue, we still don't have a sign that says sort of children's room this way, and adult this way, and we're gonna do something to hang from the hung ceiling, so that we have like directional arrows as you come in. But the space, I mean, it looks really, kind of bright and inviting.
It does.
Actually, that's Allison's space, the teen area. So we're able to pull most of the teen materials into one space, which I think is really great. So we put the third floor high tables down in that space along with their cushions. So there's the closet now full of books without the doors.
That's good.
At both ends.
So I might be getting ahead of myself, but this came out of the Friends meeting I attended a few weeks ago. And
That was me.
one of the
Sorry.
one of the questions they had was about the signage, because it still looks very much like a church, not like a library. So one of the things that they brought up is, perhaps there can be like a hanging sign. Somebody said to go hang over the cross, right? So that's what they
That
said.
cross is huge.
So,
Inside
We
or
never do
outside
that.
about
Oh, we
that?
can't do that.
I've already heard it in public.
No.
so
No.
Next thing they'll do is take
Outside,
that cross
maybe.
down. I've heard that
yeah.
in public.
So-
Next thing
so-
they're gonna do is take the cross down.
So based on that, the question was, well, if we can get better signage, it doesn't have to go over the cross. But if the trustees would pay for some signage that really makes it look like a library rather than a
Aaron,
church.
are we talking about that cross outside or is there a cross inside?
I'm not sure, because I don't have
The
a
cross
clear
is
view
on
of
the
the
building.
Yeah.
I
So
don't know
I
if I
think
have
we
it
need
in
to
front of
leave
me.
that alone.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
Yeah,
have
we don't
any
own the
money.
building.
We don't want to spend a lot of money on that.
No.
I don't think,
I mean, it's a former church. It just is. what
yeah,
it
it is, yeah. And it's temporary.
So
It's
that's
very,
right
very
there.
temporary.
Okay.
I mean, maybe that'll make people realize it's not permanent, because some people have been coming in saying, hey, this is really great. Maybe
Why
we
don't
could
you
just stay here.
No, if only we had.
So, I don't think we should make it too accommodating.
Well, I mean, I think the inside, yeah, I mean.
So what we did is where it's this language right here now says Grafton Public Library opening Wednesday the 15th, and I believe I didn't I go there right all the time, so I don't notice. But Andy was going to take down this part, the Holy Spirit Episcopal Church, and just flip it so it's white. So we could replace this with a Grafton Public Library banner. And I think that would be appropriate.
I think that's
but
Yeah.
smart.
I don't think we need to cover that.
No.
It's not bothering anybody. It's fine.
So,
I don't think we should have to pay for that.
what?
Well, we do
have
have a banner. We could just order a second one.
I mean, I don't
So you
think the
can see it
friend,
in
I mean, the trustees need to pay for that.
Right, I mean, I think where it says the Episcopal Church, we can cover that, but I think the cross is it's just
part of the building, and it's fine.
It was brought to my attention, so I thought I'd bring it in front
No,
of
I
the
think it's a good
So,
conversation to have,
yeah.
but I just don't see us putting money towards covering up a cross on a former church.
No, I'm not saying that's what we need to do either. And, you know, if we want to make use of that signage board in the front,
Which we, yeah, we will, we are,
yeah.
yeah.
But if there's any support that you need from us, please let us
Okay.
know to get the proper signage in place if you feel that it's
Okay.
necessary. Yeah,
Okay. Will do.
okay. Anything else about the the new space you want to bring up to us? I'm rather excited to see the yes no log for next
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Alarm. So again, with not having the printout, and the alarms camera system has not been moved over, and part of that quote was to install basically a burglar alarm, a doorbell alarm, which we need a Verizon line for. So that's just one of the other outstanding thing, that the camera system and alarm needs to be brought over, and I'll be working on that at the end of this week. Now that I'm back. So I think that's a moving expense, not a labor expense. Yeah, but that's it. It'll work out. I think it is working out, and
do you want to
just by the time
yeah.
we really have it just the way we want it, we're gonna be moving out.
okay yeah
So can I ask a question? Okay, I did call about the signs, the no smoking
Yes.
signs. And I left messages for 4 people, nobody's called me back. So I might stop by there at some
Okay.
point.
Yeah,
The no smoking. And also, who is in charge of
the post signs too. We need.
the posts?
Yeah, they might be willing to relocate those for us with the hours.
Okay. I will stop by there because they haven't responded. I'm not sure why not. I just haven't gotten the right
Okay.
person, I think. But also, who is in charge of the landscape there? I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't do it.
It's St.
But is there somebody else that's in charge of it?
I
Like
think
the landlord?
the landlord is not responsible for anything.
Okay, because
all
there are some
photographed.
dead items there,
Oh.
like a tree and,
Yeah, I did notice it.
so,
Needs to be trimmed.
and one more question.
So you give me a report and we
I'll
have
make
landscape
you a
money
report.
and yeah, we'll just get it taken care of.
And, yeah, I think there's a couple shrubs that are dead, and I noticed that the birch tree is dead. I mean, it's dead.
Okay.
I think if something is dead, but there's no danger to it falling over or causing damage, we shouldn't waste money on it.
No, well, this is Beth's work, not money. I mean, this is me doing it.
Oh, you're gonna.
Yeah, but I
put it
still think it's not worth wasting your time on it then.
So, and the other thing is,
in that hanging bridge, definitely.
yeah,
Yeah, that. street
that's
needs
the
to
one
go,
I'm
yeah.
talking about. And then the other thing is the air conditioners that are in the windows. They probably need a serious cleaning,
Okay.
especially the filters.
Usually, yeah, that's usually our building department that does that
Yeah.
for us. If it were in the wall, then we'd have Renaud come out, but it should just be a matter of, yeah, wash the filters and dust it out or vacuum it out for the season. So they can do that.
those AC units were in the library or we brought
So
them over
there were some that were already in the church. Like there was already one in the window of the office that I am using that just needs to be cleaned out. And then we had others that we take in and out of the library that we brought over. I think the children's room one might actually still be in the window because we put it back in the window. And then there's 2 on the 3rd floor that we could unbolt and bring over, and that would also be building department. And we probably will need them.
Didn't we buy some new ones several
Yeah,
years
they're-
ago?
Yeah, so the new ones are the ones we take in and out of the windows, and those are all at St. Andrews except for the children's room one. Because we were using it as we were moving because we just
Okay,
wanted to
good,
keep
good.
that room really clear. And then the ones that
It
are on
should
the
be
3rd floor,
free,
we got
right?
free.
There's 2
Yeah,
big
there
ones
was-
and a small.
Yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
they're all over there. They're in one got put in a window, one is in a closet. Yeah, and then the 3rd floor ones were surplus from the municipal center when they put in their HVAC. But again, they're like both that whole part of the building's coming down, so we want to salvage them. And
Yeah, we want
hook
to.
them up
All of that stuff, yeah.
before that comes down.
And this Schiffelera,
Schiffelera is
the
Remind
big
me,
plant.
Oh, yeah. So whenever we're ready to move the things that are locked in my office out of the library, we'll also move the big plant.
Okay.
Yeah. But I can't get in the office, so. Yeah. We locked a door by accident and the key doesn't work. It's been exciting. Yeah, to break the door. It's part of the library that's being demolished, so
You can
just take the door off.
hinge.
Yeah.
I've had to do that.
Well, somebody can, not me. Yeah, and there was a fountain outside of the entrance to St. Andrews, and it looks like the fountain got picked up and taken away. So now we have a cistern, a big hole with water in it, and we need to go to like Koopman's and buy a big enough planter to just kind of sit.
Either a planter, or I was
cover that
thinking I might just get them to cut some, what do you call the big sheets of wood?
Oh,
Plywood?
Plywood, have a heavy
then put
piece,
something
and
on
have them
top.
cut it to that size,
Little bit,
maybe
yeah.
2 inches around larger.
Okay.
And have them, I'll put it on top.
Okay. That's not bad.
So, a lot of these items kind of sound like they could go in a walkabout report.
Yeah,
So
Let's get them done and then do a walkabout.
we're gonna say that they were done by the time the next meeting comes around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
sure they will.
Do we have a walkabout crew? Any volunteers who want to be on the walkabout crew with
I
Beth
can help you
Patch
with that. Yeah.
and Karen? Is 2 enough? 2 is fine if somebody else wants to join, but I think 2 is great.
Let's try it again. Let's try
Okay.
it again.
Yeah.
So, I do
Martina.
wanna say that I think we should walk around the, old library one more time, because I noticed some things that are going on. One
Okay.
is in the wall on the main reading room side. At the back side, it looks like there's some crumbling going on.
Really?
So I was gonna take a picture and
Okay.
bring it to the walkabout.
Well, when you
Set up
move
a
things,
time.
you find things.
We can set up a time after the
Okay.
meeting.
Or email.
Okay, so being sensitive to Beth's time, noise complaints, space issues.
Nothing yet, but
Yeah.
yet.
We've been open for a week.
We did have an issue. We had a gentleman come in and sit with his laptop in the children's room. And we said, "Oh, you're here with a child?" And no, well, this space is really for children and their caregivers. And I think there was some pushback, but ultimately he relocated. More for us, we know him, we trust him, but it does make parents with young kids uncomfortable when there's somebody who they don't know who's sitting there. And so he relocated, but we're looking for some solutions. Like we want to have a space where somebody with a laptop can come and sit at the adult side
There is.
of the building. So these beautiful round tables that the historic
Yeah.
commission wants to bring back, you cannot sit at those with a laptop. You
It's
just can't. And if you want to
uncomfortable.
sit in an armchair, you can. But the armchairs they have high arms, so
Yeah.
so it's not a great space. So we're trying to come up with another workable solution. But one thing because we said, oh, it's not comfortable. We said, okay, well, we can drag a task chair from the computer section because we have extras and replace a wooden chair
Go into some
for
of the
you,
side.
and then you can make it higher. And now it's laptop, you know.
Do we want furniture that's not usable in today's?
If you would like to
Yes.
come to the next historic commission meeting and talk to them about that, yes, they do. They want it furniture
many-
that looks a certain way.
How many tables are there?
There's 4 to 6.
So we're changing our decors just in that one space to make
The
them happy?
no, so the original
Just so we understand
no,
it.
the original plan was to restore the round tables that we had and the chairs that we had and put them in the current main reading room with the perimeter bookshelves and put the magazines and graphic novels in there and have wireless, but have it more be a quiet reading room again like it used to be.
Okay.
And we were going to leave also that oak or whatever it is circulation desk. Except that big desk is not ergonomic and there wouldn't be a staff member sitting there all the time. And it was huge and didn't work for the flow of the space because the new building, as it butts up against that old building, is, I think, higher. So we needed to reconfigure. So we moved that circulation desk. And the architect, most architects' view of a renovation and expansion is you don't keep anything that's old. You start over completely from fresh because when you go in and you refurbish and you repaint and you have new drapes and then you put your old furniture, mismatched furniture into the new building, people go, oh, what, you didn't have enough money to like finish the building? This looks crappy. Or, you know, we've shifted from federal style to arts and crafts style or colonial style or whatever, and now these things. So from an aesthetic, professional, architectural point of view, it doesn't work. From an ergonomic point of view, it doesn't work so well for modern computing. If you're gonna go in there and sit and read the newspaper, it works just fine. Or a graphic novel, it's just fine. And if you want to use your laptop, there's still now another 23,000 square feet of the new building to go and do that, which is why I went, okay, you know what? Fine.
Okay.
Right. We'll make sure that whatever chairs we add into the space complement the 1927 style or decor, but are modern enough to still be able to use a laptop at. And if you want to sit at a table to use a laptop and you're not comfortable at the round table and the wooden chair, you'll just go somewhere else.
Well,
or if
is
you're in a
there-
wheelchair, you'll go somewhere else.
Is there seating if you just want to read a book?
Yeah.
Because are we thinking that, I hate to say this, but as time goes on, there's not going to be as many physical newspapers and magazines. So it's going to be,
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to be sitting in that room reading, but you might want to read an ebook or you might want to read a book.
We could also, as our dear friend Gary suggested, put cushions on the chairs.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
have-
So that could.
You were working on that.
Yeah, we were
Okay.
okay. But we had to find fire retardant ones. It turns out that Massachusetts correctional folks can make those for us.
Oh, yeah?
Cheap. Yes. Who knew? That's what I learned at the library conference this week. They could
Sorry
also
to ask you so many questions.
they could
I
also
just
rebuild the
remembered.
window. But
also-
those Marilyn, those were my arguments though. I said
Yeah.
you can't use a computer at it. A wheelchair can't
Yeah.
rail up to this
Right,
chair.
that's,
And they said, but
A
there's other
wheelchair
spaces.
can't go up to it?
No, cause,
Well, I
you
don't-
saw the Windsor
they
chair
do
arm butts against the ledge that runs around the
so,
rim.
I mean,
of
maybe
the
a couple, but not, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, again,
Alright,
if it's
talk about it
four
offline.
tables in that room, and there's many other options,
Right, it'll be better in the new
it
building.
will be okay.
Right.
Yeah, they could also consider cutting out that lip on the table. You know, in one of the 4 to 6 tables, so that they make it an accessible spot and not put a chair at it. And that would be a very reasonable accommodation as well. So there's
then-
options, which is why I was like, okay, fine.
Okay, that makes sense.
Make you happy. You'll sign off
We
on
want a
it.
building.
You'll write us a letter. Okay.
Yeah.
It's their library too. And, you know, it's the whole point of those boards and commissions is to have somebody else taking a second look and saying, but did you think about this too? So,
Mass Correctional is the vendor.
yes, they are. But they said, come talk to us direct. So if it turns out that we only have 3 chairs to put at every table, they will make us matching chairs. Cheap.
Chairs or matching pillows?
They will also do the cushions, but no, they have like a whole wood shop and they work through other vendors and
It's fantastic.
yeah,
Perfect.
they think it'll save a lot of money.
Okay.
And the architect's aware too, and he has their catalog.
So 5 minutes for director's report.
I brought paper copies
Okay, great.
if you want to take one and pass it up. I need the mileage thing at the end back. Though. Can I find it in my downloads?
Anything you want to share with us from your conference besides correctional facilities?
Oh, I went to the best program on eliminating fines from libraries
Ah,
because everybody's doing it except for Grafton. So, not true, but many
But-
are.
but it kind of feels like that, right?
You have to right click on it.
Why is it in
You open
Internet
with-
Explorer?
Okay, it's,
I upgraded and it just took over. Acrobat
There you go.
Reader, sure. Thank you, Aaron. Oh, yeah, I had a second page.
Sorry, Marilyn.
So yeah,
Get
fines
around
and
anyway.
fees. So
That's why.
Oh, okay.
gonna want me to sign in. Yeah. So my hometown went fine free in February, and the arguments were basically my favorite director ever, Patty DiTullio from Amesbury, said it depends on your audience. You can't have this philosophical discussion about how fines are a barrier and fines prevent people from returning materials. And there's no data that suggests people bring their items back sooner because there's a penalty or fine. You can't have that conversation with people who are saying, but this is a financial thing and we need the money in the town budget. So I think for several years, I don't know if I made a strong case this year because I was really hot on staffing. But I've said that about $8,000 that Grafton Public Library generates in overdue fines, not lost book fees, not printing fees, but just overdue fines because your stuff was late, 10 cents a day, generates around $8,000 a year for town of Grafton. And what I have done in the past is said I will cut $8,000 from my operating budget if we can eliminate fines, because now we're not having these negative interactions and arguments with people about money. And trustees have voted, and we haven't gotten pushback from the town, to do food for fines, and we're now up to 4 months out of the year we're taking in canned goods for the food bank instead of fines. So it's not a hill that I want to die on or a battle that I need to fight for this year, but I think long view, we have a new strategic plan that we're going to have to write in the next year.
Yep.
Eliminating overdue fines would be a really good thing to examine. And it's certainly on trend.
Where do you stand on the idea of the guilt jar?
I think that that is a great idea.
What is it
Yeah.
called?
Because they will probably give more. So instead, you have a jar, and people say, "Oh, well, I feel bad." Okay, great. Pay me $5 or put in $10. Or put in, put some money in. The nice thing about that is it would go to the library gift account, which
Yeah.
I have control over. Versus the $8,000 we take in does go by state law to the general fund for the town, which is fine because they give us a big budget.
Anytime I have done food for fines, I can't walk in with a can.
Right.
Yeah.
Come in with
Yeah.
a bag full of stuff, so,
And
yeah.
so many people, they have 2 black and white prints and it's 20 cents and they give me a quarter and say keep the change and we ring that 5 cents into our gift account. And we get donations from the friends, $10,000 a year into the gift account, but some of it is also just that money, and then that helps also with someone needs to fax something to welfare and we say don't pay us, we're good. So we do our own little forgiveness too. But yeah, if we could get rid of fines, that would be great. I went to 2 sessions on usability, one on website usability. Our website is actually doing really well compared to lots of other ones. Because we had a user experience guy who wrote a book about website user design, design it. I went to one on patron usability and a lot of things they said about facilities and space and programming and sign and policy. Give yourselves a big gold star because we're doing a good job. I missed the keynote speaker today, unfortunately. Somebody talked about Little Women. Wasn't able to attend. Marilyn Wilcox, who works in our children's room, is interested in pursuing a paralibrarian certificate, which is like a year's worth of workshops that includes joining the Mass Library Association and attending conference. So we paid for her to go, and I can't wait to hear what she got out of it. But she attended a lot of the children's and young adult track.
What is it called?
Paralibrarian, like paralegal. And it's kind of a movement by Mass Library Association to get more recognition for these paraprofessionals who don't have master's degrees in library science, but often are doing a piece of the work, the professional library work without the degree. And it helps them. The certificate can help them get more pay or more vacation. Or I said to her, you can pursue it, but I have nowhere to promote you to because, we have a head of children's services already. But she wants to do it just, for the educational, I think, component.
Nice.
And as much of a raise as we can manage to give her. And Jen McNeil attended a day too. So it's cutting edge stuff that Mass Libraries are doing. It was good. Glad for the opportunity.
Great.
So yeah, and the only note about the stats again is that we were closed for 6 or 8 days in April. I thought that online stats would go up more because our website wasn't down. But we didn't have an increase, either website hits, database use, or ebooks. Those all went down as well. Museum passes went up for the month of April only because of April vacation. They had heavy use.
But that's good.
Yeah, and we offered fewer programs but had more attendees. I can never quite figure out the balance for that.
Did you have some particularly well attended? You must have.
Jungle Gym over at the Municipal Center was
Yeah.
pretty well attended. Shockingly. So we had Mr. Kim in May and nobody showed up. Yeah, we had the program was full. We had a full waiting list. We sent an email reminder and nobody came because the library was closed. So it was at Apple Tree Arts, but somehow there was a disconnect, I think, about where it was located.
Wow.
And he's so popular.
Yeah.
But you'll have a chance to see him on the Common, July 19th. No, I'm sorry, Nelson Park. We're doing that at Nelson, July 19th. It's the only concert.
Somewhere in the fun. What is it called? Fun in the Sun.
So yeah, Fun in the Sun. Rec department indicated they didn't have the bandwidth to do the program, so we didn't budget for it. And I got an email asking what we were contributing to Fun in the Sun while I was out on Monday. So Jen and I need to meet to talk about it, but we didn't plan for it or schedule it or budget for it. So I don't know if they're still going to do it or not, or when it is. We are talking about partnering on a program for Halloween because we want to have a presence on the Common. And the rec department has the last couple of years also done something on the Common, like the Boy Scouts used to. So we're going to try and partner, I hope, with them on that instead.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Mr. Kim thing is just an independent standalone family concert that we do every year. I tried again to get food trucks. They're already booked for July.
Well, the thing is,
In March I tried. And
right.
No,
And the
Got to
thing
do it a
is-
year before.
yeah, but we don't plan that far.
Right. Well, the other thing with food trucks is most of them, you have to guarantee them a minimum, and
Yeah,
if they don't
that's
sell
hard.
that much food, you have to pay them.
If we could just get one. So I asked Anzio's.
And they said yes.
They
Because
said
I,
no.
Oh,
They were
I
already booked.
have a food truck that I do. I got a food truck to the rally in the valley for the Democratic Town Committee, and it was a barbecue truck, and it was from Rhode Island
Oh, so I didn't go ask state.
because they're permitted for Grafton.
Okay. If you want to reach out,
I will.
I'm pretty sure the July 19th date is correct.
July
Double
19th,
check, double check our calendar. It's right.
Send
on.
me times.
Yep.
And the amount of people you think will be there, because that's the big question they asked me.
So when we go have it on the common, we have between 300 and 400.
Okay.
But there's no. Sometimes people picnic. Sometimes they go to Bushel and Peck. So you
Right.
just kind of never know.
That's actually what Anzio's told me
Yeah.
last time, was that for them to come and then have people going to other places right there isn't lucrative for them.
Right.
I know.
Okay, so Beth, you are
All right,
dismissed
yeah.
if you
Thank
are
you.
if you
We
are
already
ready to go.
I do have a quick question while you're writing. How is your request for volunteers coming, the 14-year-old and up?
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I know one came directly through Facebook. And I said, yes, you have an autistic child who's 19 or whatever. Yeah, we could find something for them to do. But other than that, we still need help. Yeah. Yeah. I think that I actually linked the volunteer application to the Facebook post. So come in with the application. And children are encouraged to come, 14, right? 14 and up, I think it can be by yourself, but younger than that, you need your parent. But we want to see kids interested, not parents bringing kids who they think, it's a good idea for the kid to volunteer. The kid has to have buy-in. And it's not shelving books. I love shelving books, but I'm a weirdo, so not everybody loves it. Yeah, there's outdoor stuff too, though. We'll have some gardening, I hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my other question. So when can I tell them to just go ahead and move them?
Whenever you feel ready.
Okay.
Yeah. It's kind of late for this week, like for Saturday. I said it's late for this week for you to be working
Oh, no,
on
I'm not
Saturday, but yeah, just tell him, okay, now it's good.
Okay.
And he'll get it set up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you. Sorry to duck out, but I will see you next month.
Okay.
Thanks.
Some quick discussion about the June meeting. Doug said that he likely can't make it. And I know,
Is that one of the ones I can't make?
I think it is, because you said June and July,
Yeah.
was it?
The previous
So-
week's better for me.
So,
What date
I'm
is
actually,
June?
I'm moving on the 18th, but I should be just moving to the other part of Grafton.
26th.
So,
In June, you're talking about now?
yes, in June.
Oh, that was quick.
So Doug mentioned the 19th, but Dana, I think you said you were traveling.
Yeah, I'm traveling, but
Yeah. So, just have to.
I mean, I'm gonna be away I'm coming back on the 20th for like one day.
I don't think there's anything that we'll be voting on. I think we look at new potential leadership between the chair and vice chair. Last year, we did it in July, but I think we're supposed to do it in June.
Yes.
So, if that's something you want to be part of, then we can make sure that we do it when we have everybody who wants to be available for that.
So we're supposed to meet on the 26th?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm going to be out of town all of July.
all of July.
Yes.
Okay.
I can do June 19th.
Yeah.
That's still on the table.
You know you'll be gone.
Well, I could possibly be coming home that day. I have to be home by the 20th, so I haven't figured it out.
I'll be here.
You-
I'll be here.
And Doug can't, what was Doug's thing? He can't be there the 19th, was
You
that
can't,
it?
No, the
can't be there the 26th,
Oh,
which is
okay.
our date.
Why don't you make it the 19th and I'll try to come?
And I have to find
I
a
can't.
room.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I can't make it, I can't make it, but I'll do my best.
So, so then I will mention that once a year we look at chair and vice chair. So if you would like to express your candidacy for chair or vice chair, I mean, you can talk to me, but I think generally just be prepared to say you would like to be considered at the next meeting. So, you know, do some soul searching. I'd like to do another year as chair at least. Something that I enjoyed doing in the past year. So I will likely throw my hat in the ring again in June too. So, okay. So the 19th.
It's the 19th.
Yeah, I'll get a room and let you know.
Okay.
All right.
Keep the July date?
Yes. You know, for now, unless there's some reason, you know, we'll discuss it at the next meeting. I don't think we need to plan that far ahead
For July?
for July.
Well, it's a vacation month, so
Is July the 24th?
Yes.
That when you would meet?
it's the 24th.
What does that mean, vacation month? Just people going
Yeah, a
vacation?
lot of people go away.
Yeah. I don't think we should take a month off.
It's my
You know,
feeling.
if people generally, if they're planning their vacations, they know that we're meeting on the 24th. We meet on the same, you know, night every month. And if we tend to change it, that's when there's conflicts, right? So you have a set date every month, so you don't, so you plan your vacations around it. As soon as somebody changes it, well, you know, I already plan to go away that week. It makes it harder when you change dates like that. So that's just my opinion, but you know, we can always talk about it. All right. Why don't we jump back up to where we were on the agenda before we started hopping around? Project updates, the capital campaign, Dana.
I'm waiting.
Yeah.
So I'm meeting actually next week. Doug and I are meeting to move forward in a couple things. I'm praying that we get these. I don't know what's taking so long, but I get it. It's just that I need 4 illustrations in the brochure
Yep.
that had the part of the building where where there was the balcony, and then we expanded that and got rid of it. So I need 4 illustrations from the architect, and I need good schematics. And Doug is trying to see if he can clean them up because there's layers and layers. So what I have isn't really great. So I guess maybe I'll wait another week and see what happens. You know, can't really do anything. I mean, I'm waiting for that. So what I think we're gonna do is Doug and I are gonna meet, and then we'll just get like a whole agenda, and then we'll hope that we get this in the next 2 weeks. I don't know how much longer it can take, right? So I can't really do much more. I pushed as much as I could, and Doug's been working on it. So
Who have you been pushing?
well, I pushed Beth to push the architects, but it's the architects,
Yeah.
and they're not. We're not quite sure what's going on. But I guess if they're still waiting to get approval, maybe it's a blessing in disguise. Because if they have to change stuff, it's going to affect everything it's going to affect it a little bit.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, if it gets to be like, oh, it's going to be another 2 months, then I'll go with what we have, and I'll just have to say this is what we have to do, and
Yep.
maybe we'll print less, because I can't. You know, I'm willing to wait I'll wait like another month at most. But Doug might be able to give us an idea. I don't know when their next meeting is. I know we're online, so we're broadcasting, so I don't want to appear negative. But I don't know when the next meeting is, you know, as far as getting the approvals. But
Would you for Katie and Daniela, just
oh, okay.
mention why this is an important piece for the
Okay.
library capital campaign?
Okay, what we've been doing is, several years ago, we decided we really wanted to raise money just for the building, and we wanted it to be clear to everybody that's the intent. So we created a 501c3, which I created that, and then we have a whole committee. And so what we've been working on is, our whole idea is to basically, we want to raise funds to offset the cost to the town. And also there are some things that we would like in the library that are outside of the project. So this would be it's a good way to fund that. And there are many people that they like that idea. Let's do something extra that we wouldn't have if I didn't give the money. So what we're trying to do right now is we designed a brochure that's basically, it's meant to be taken with you on a meeting with a prospect. And it shows you like a picture, it shows you different views of the building. You know, the beauty shot, which would be the one from the common, and then as you open it up, it shows us different views. So the viewer really gets a sense of it. And each illustration, which is beautifully done, which the architects did, its name, so you know exactly where it is where it is, and if it's on the south side, Upton Street, you know where it is. And then what we do, then you open up the brochure, and we have a schematic of of the lower floor and the upper. And as you look at it, it's very clear because it's been set up, it's landscape. So you see the whole floor, and then we have just like a highlight of the main areas. And then we're gonna have there'll be a dot, we've using a mechanism, it's like just dots, and then there'll be a blue dot next to like the lobby, or blue dot next to the elevator, and you could see that, you can immediately see it. And then it has a square footage, and then you turn it over, and then there's more information. I think there's information about, we have a great page that talks all about the scheduling, talks about how much money the project was. So it's just like at a snapshot, you can look at it 2 minutes, you know how much the project costs, you know when everything was approved by the town, because we're trying to, it's building the case, this is really gonna happen, it's really approved. And then we give, there's another page that gives like, why give money? And then we have a little giving table, and then the back piece is an overview it's like an elevation looking down. So you see where the library is, you see where the parking area is. So it's almost done, but we're just waiting a couple these 4 illustrations that we need, and then the schematics. So it's worth waiting, because the idea is we're not giving this away. When we have appointments, we take it out and we go over everything with people. And we do the ask. So that's our idea. And we're just, things are changing, so we'll just wait. I'll talk to Doug and Carrie again about it. We'll wait, but I think, and we'll talk to Beth and see what Beth thinks, If it's gonna be like another 2 months, I don't wanna wait 2 months. We'll do with what we have, and then we'll just update it. I mean, I was ready to do that about a week and a half ago, but then I thought, well, no, it's gotta be almost done. So let's find out about the latest meetings,
Well, and I think, the stuff with the Historical Society is all exterior, so that shouldn't impact the interior.
No,
parts
no, it's just all those illustrations.
For the front cover,
Yeah, for everything, yeah.
does that even show the siding that might be
It
changed?
doesn't, but though the other images do. But I'll make a decision on it. It's not the end of the world. I mean, if it's gonna be 2 months, I'd rather just print like maybe 50 of them and then use them, and then we'll redo it. I'm not gonna wait any longer, because I wanna get rolling on this. So, Doug, yeah, so, I don't know what else to say.
No,
but-
that makes sense, because I don't think what siding is gonna be on there would affect.
No, it's just that when you present something and you're asking for a lot of money, you want them to know exactly the way it's gonna look. I mean, it's fair, but I don't mind, we'll do some, maybe we'll do half a run or whatever. And we'll just say things are changing. Plus, you also wanna make sure that everybody's, the project's going along, everything's all right. And we have good things to say. I mean, as we're discussing this with them, they'll let them know that we just got $460,000. We're one of the few libraries that were given that in advance. That really, makes it really seem firm that it's happening. And obviously, we're out of the building, so. I mean, things are much better than we were like 6 months ago.
So is this an opportunity for those of us with fundraising skills to help out on the capital campaign? It's Capital Campaign Committee is not a subcommittee of the
No, it
library
is not.
trustees. It's a separate organization.
Yeah,
Just that happens that 2 trustees currently serve on it,
right.
Dana and Doug.
And then Carrie Hogan serves on it, and Rebecca Mahoney.
Yeah.
So, I guess if they have interest, I mean, right now we're, in another month or 2, we'll have more to do.
Yeah.
So, if somebody has an interest, let me know.
Okay. Great.
Or if you have ideas too, because the other thing is too, not that we're going to brainstorm right here, but I mean, if people know different people in the community, we may reach out to. If we know that someone that we want to, ask for their help, we might come to you and say, hey, XYZ, would you be comfortable coming with us, or do you have any other information? That kind of thing, which we said we were going to do, and there are other former trustees that are going to help us. So we have a lot more people that we're going to be working with. So, but let me know if you have any questions. I'm glad to answer them.
Great.
It's kind of odd because we're on camera and this is not the kind of thing that you talk about, what people are giving and that kind of thing. But we've got a lot of people that are interested in giving. We just have to make it happen. And now that, I mean, it'll be good once we're breaking the ground. That'll be really good. I mean, that's really important because we know we're in construction. We've been telling everybody that, but when they see the shovel in the ground, they'll believe it. And I think the 460,000 would be great too. I'm hoping we get that in the next couple weeks because we'll make sure that everybody knows about that. So, thank you, but I won't be here next in June, but if I am, hopefully I'll have more to tell you. Or make sure Doug does.
Does the brochure have any relation with the naming rights policy?
That's separate, but
Okay.
we're still working on that.
Okay, yeah,
I reviewed it with Doug. Doug was supposed to, I'm not sure, he wasn't able to come tonight,
right.
but we'll update you on that too. I mean, there's stuff we are working
That
on.
was pretty exciting stuff, though.
Yeah. I'm really feeling good about it. And we'll do what we have to do. We're gonna, we're driven. We're not gonna sit around and wait any longer, so we'll do whatever we have to do.
Okay. Thank you, Dana.
You're welcome.
So no update on the naming rights policy, so we can jump through that. Is there an opportunity to see the brochure at some point, maybe a digital copy or workup?
Not right now.
Yeah, okay.
I prefer until we have it. I really don't want a lot of copies around.
Yeah, whenever you're ready to share it, please do.
It will happen once it's
I hear a lot of good things about it, so I'm
good.
excited.
It's really, I think it's really neat.
Nice.
Hopefully it'll do the trick.
Okay. Moving on to Friends update. So I attended the Friends meeting. I think it was the day after town meeting, and one of the so they always do the Easter egg hunt. And they sold out. I think they ended up having more money than the amount of tickets they sold. So that was a little odd, They calculated out the number of tickets they could sell, and sure enough, they had more money than, So they made it $1,075 on that, which is really great. And I'm not sure what their expenses were, but I don't think it was more than like $150, maybe less.
Great.
People tend to recycle all those little plastic eggs, which is really great. So those of you who helped with that, thank you very much. They officially retired the Down Under name.
Oh.
They did?
Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that was
Oh.
pretty cool. They were a little nostalgic, but they they knew it wouldn't really hold a lot of weight in the new Friends space, or even at the temporary library too. So it was time, and I think they said that name dated back to the 90s. I forget who they said, really started that initiative. But that was kind of interesting.
Do they have a new name plan, like over there instead of?
Over there.
Yeah,
Under here.
they had a lot of ideas on how they could name it, and they thought they might even poll the community, but if you poll the community and you say, well, whatever the community wants for the name, that's what it's going to be. Well, no, because they can come up with really silly stuff. I mean, they should really have executive control over. Well, this is what the community really likes. Do we like this? Yes,
Right.
okay.
You engineer the choices, give them 3 choices and have them vote.
Yes, yeah.
That's much
But
better.
they're still not sure how they're gonna do that. I think there was a lot of talk of it last meeting, but this current meeting, they're like, no, we don't think we want to do that anymore. So, but the most important thing is the discussion about the use of the new space in the new library, the Friends Cafe area.
Right.
And Carrie didn't say a lot on the subject, but she said that Beth had a lot of really great ideas on how the space could be used, and encouraged them to watch the trustee meeting that was recorded last month, because she didn't want to spend a lot of time talking about that. But one of the most interesting things that I picked up on was one that Aaron Schwartz, who recently managed the Down Under area, when it was brought up that Beth mentioned, well, you know, friends, you guys can do book sales and stuff. Aaron immediately piped up and said, yeah, that's basically what everybody else does. So I think he was kind of, I don't know if he was exasperated with the way they were doing things before. I mean, he seemed really burnt out. And, you know, just managing the stacks and the sales, you know, just kind of ongoing sales. So I think he kind of liked the idea of re-engineering how they're going to do things. So I thought that was, and nobody really had any complaints about, you know, shelf space. That wasn't really brought up again. She just basically said, I encourage you to have a look at that, and kind of tabled it there. So that was a good,
Good.
Can I ask a follow-up
Yes,
question?
please.
That brings up something that I don't know if you were gonna look into, Beth, but the idea of what the official rules were for librarians accepting money for Friends books.
I actually started looking into it, but I haven't followed up, and I will.
Yeah, because I'm really curious about that.
I was at the Shrewsbury Library, and they have a cafe set up with vending machines, and
Oh,
it was
yeah.
really kind of interesting the way they did it. So, which I'm sure Beth knows all about. So I think there's definitely options for a cafe situation that would be easy to implement.
So regarding museum passes, so they voted to allow, I was going to say Beth, but allow the director to choose the policy for how passes should be or can be distributed to people in other towns. So
I don't understand.
So
Wow.
Grafton has a policy that was set forth by the Friends that put restrictions on making passes available to town residents first.
Right.
But no other town has a policy like that. Grafton is kind of unique. So
No,
I
I'm
don't
sorry,
think
I
so.
go to Westboro, and Westboro won't let me have a pass
yeah,
until just like us, until that very day, because I am not a town person.
interesting.
It's true, that's
Okay.
true.
So they felt so this was, I mean, Beth's not here, but Beth mentioned that she feels very constrained because of whatever policy that the Friends put forth about the passes. So all that they said is we don't really want a hand in how the passes get managed. So we're going to allow the director of the library to set the policy on how those passes are distributed. So it might be a follow-up conversation with Beth Galloway.
I'm really confused, because almost every library I know of restrict passes
Yeah.
to town people.
Is someone
I
complaining
don't think
about
the
it?
Friends made that policy.
No, well, Beth brought it to their attention.
Oh,
Beth Galloway did.
Well,
That's very
I think-
strange.
I think one of the things that Beth does is kind of look at trends within the library field. So things like eliminating fines, opening up things. So it may be a trend, our surrounding communities may be doing what we're doing.
Yes.
And Beth may be saying, this is a trend in other parts of the state or in other parts of the country. And I think we can just listen to it and
Yeah.
see what she thinks.
Too
Yeah.
bad she's not here.
So it wasn't precisely the way you describe. It wasn't just about town residents. It was some complaint that Beth had about the way the passes were restricted, in that they were just sitting unused.
Yeah.
And she was, because of a certain policy, if she could remove that policy, then more passes might be used.
Yeah.
So
Something
Friends
to
are
that
saying
effect.
whatever she'd like to do?
Yes,
Okay.
they voted officially on that during their meeting, to allow her to choose the policy on how passes are distributed.
Well, I think there had been a mention in the past about some passes just are not used very much, and is that the best use of the money?
Yes,
Yeah.
You know,
I recall that too.
and Beth said she was gonna she reviews them and figures out which are the best ones to use.
Yeah.
And they're leaving it up to her,
Good.
I believe.
So, moving along, their membership mailing, they have a new gentleman, I think his name is Rob, who's managing the membership mailings and curating that list. But I would like to say, as trustees, we have a relationship with the Friends. So they support us, and we'd like to support them any way we can, and one of the ways that we can do them is just by becoming Friends members if we're not already. So they just sent out their annual meeting newsletter. So please attend the annual meeting if you are, well, and you should be a Friends member. Beth mentioned she thought it was going to be at the 35 Grafton Common space, but I think in their mailing it said that they were going to be at the new temporary library. So I haven't heard anything more than that. That just kind of came out today, but
Was that an email or a letter?
Email, I think.
It's an email.
email newsletter.
Okay.
Yeah. You should
Do
have it
they
in your
do,
inbox.
how do they update their membership? Is it by email?
You'd have to ask them.
Because I haven't received anything to be
I
updated.
haven't either.
I get it from Framingham Library, which I'm a Friends member too.
Yeah. So in that newsletter, I believe I forwarded it to the trustees.
I think maybe that's why I have it.
Yes. It says click here and you can renew it right here online, or if you don't
Oh, okay.
know
Thank you.
if you're up for
Okay.
renewal,
I'll
just,
read
just
that.
reply to this email. It
Thank
said.
you.
I don't know when mine expires either. And again, if you haven't heard anything in a while, it's probably expired.
I bet it has. I'm
So
sure it
it's
has.
a good idea to just check
Okay.
out. And I think a family membership is like $25 a year.
Oh, yesterday.
Okay, yesterday.
Did he send it to us? Aaron sent it to us?
Yeah,
Yep.
I saw it.
Okay. I will sign up again.
Okay.
Yeah, Friday, June 21st, 7 p.m.
And publicity. Thank you, Dana, for taking photos at the egg hunt. I think you did that, right?
I got people to cooperate.
Publicity.
Excellent.
And I got people to come. We brought crews to come. It was really good. I got young kids to come and help. They had a blast.
Yeah.
I guess there's still a lot of books at the 35 Grafton Common that belong to the Friends, and I think they're just donating them to the Congregational Church because Congregational Church has like an apple pie social, and then they have a book sale. So they just always love to take books, and I think one of the people just stores them in her garage. She just had a garage full of books. So, but I don't think if anybody still has books to donate, I don't know if there's signage that redirects them, but the Friends aren't taking any, and I don't think they're taking any at the temporary space either. So,
No, I don't think so.
yeah.
They're not.
Not for a while.
Not for a while. So we should just give them to the Congregational Church.
On June 11th, those who are good at fundraising are invited to join the Friends for a brainstorming session on how to put together good fundraising opportunities for the Friends. I'm not sure if their latest one, the Owlcraft, was all that well attended. At least this was this past Monday, the 20th.
I tried to sign up the day of and it wouldn't let me.
Really? Okay. That's interesting. And so you couldn't attend, huh? That's a bummer. So I believe they are looking at Barnes and Noble's do a fundraiser, and they were talking about trying to get the summer reading lists from the schools so that Barnes and Nobles can stock the particular reading materials, and then the Friends could get a portion of book sales on one of those nights. But I think there was some contention on the schools don't like to release what the summer reading list is, just because it kind of steals your thunder.
I think that's only in Grafton. I think everybody else releases it way ahead of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
What's the point though of doing that if we stock them in the library?
Because they run out.
Yeah.
We only have so many.
Especially the online ones. I always try to get the online ones they run out.
I don't know how much money you make on those things, but it's worth a try.
Yeah, I think it was really a no-cost thing that they were willing to help us with. I think the person who works at Barnes and Noble is a Grafton resident that they were working with. So
Oh, good.
yeah. So that was a good meeting. That's all I have. Any questions, comments?
Excuse me, sorry.
All right. So we do have a friends liaison, and I've been doing it off and on, but I encourage anybody else who hasn't attended a friends meeting to do so because it helps. I mean, you're really just there to kind of listen, and if they have any direct questions for the trustees, you can take note of it. Somebody can answer, great. But generally, it's just a way to make sure that we're in communication with each other. And I feel like the new space was kind of a bone of contention because I know that I haven't been to a friends meeting in a while, and I don't know that any of us had been either. I know that they were talking about that for a while. Beth is always kind of talking about, well, this is what you're going to have, this is what you're going to have. So it kind of got to a bubbling point, and I'm glad we smoothed that out. But at the same time, it's why it's important for us to attend those meetings. So.
Would you resend that sign up link? Because I feel like I have.
The sign up link kind of fizzled
Oh, it did. Okay.
because they changed their meetings a lot,
Oh.
and it was hard
Oh,
to
yeah,
keep
that's
up on
right.
that. I will look into that and at least update it for the next year so that we'll have something.
Do we have any, are they meeting this summer?
It's a good question. Do they usually take the summer off?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
I don't know. I don't think they take the summer off, but they move their meetings often, so I think because Carrie travels a lot.
Oh, yeah, now it's probably hard, yeah.
So but I don't know that they're,
Okay.
it's usually like the first or second or third Tuesday.
Yeah, so that's a good point.
Of options.
Yeah.
Fourth or fifth.
It's usually a Tuesday.
Maybe the 4th.
Could be a fifth Tuesday.
Yeah, so I don't need any commitment now, but that's a good suggestion. I'll just send out the sign up genius, and people can fill in their names on dates that work for them. Great. Okay. Landscape garden, Beth. I know we got a little bit from you.
Okay, so as plants come up in the raised beds, I've been digging them up and putting them in pots. And I've gathered all of the materials around. Ben and I picked up all the pathways, and they're at our house right now. And all the indoor plants are at our house right now. And Ben's going to leave me soon. And so I guess ultimately those raised beds are going to get moved, which I had fought against, but
Yeah.
they're going to get moved, and we're going to put them back together and plant for a year or two in those. And then at some point, I believe they're building 10 new raised beds at the library, and I don't think they'll be like maybe they'll take some of the soil. That would be great because it's great soil, but so basically, that's about it. We've got almost everything off the grounds and over to the new building, except for the raised beds and the pots that I've been planting.
Do you need help bringing that from your place to the new building?
We've been
The
doing,
temporary
like
building.
yesterday, we did 4. We took over 4 big pots yesterday from my house too, and put them on the front steps. One of the problems with the temporary space is there is not enough lighting for the plants that we've had inside. It is a big problem. So I can replace plants for the temporary space, like spider plants and pothos and stuff. But some of our really beautiful, huge plants that are like direct sunlight, that's a big problem.
Do you need foster parents?
Yeah.
Well, I may be looking for foster parents. We talked about that.
Yeah.
And then when we get the new space, they would come back to the library. Like we have that huge
Yes.
Scheffalera.
Yeah.
Really, I cannot think of one place that we would put that plant that it will help it survive. You don't really want it in a children's room.
You say so. I don't even know what it is.
It's a huge plant, and I don't know that if it's toxic or not. But you don't want it where children are going to have access to it. Most of the plants in the children's room are up on a shelf. So anyway, I might be looking for some parents to adopt. I haven't talked to Beth about that yet, but it's quite dark. Except for the children's room, it's quite dark in the rest of the library.
I mean, the entire building is surrounded by those tall trees. So,
It's very shady there.
So will the additional lighting be put in the sanctuary? That seems where it's the darkest.
Well, they're gonna put in some, put in some bulbs, but it's not going to really help as far as growing plants, except for pothos and low light plants.
Okay.
So, I may be looking for some adoptees,
yeah.
You can,
or what do
you
we call
can
it,
put you
foster.
can put
foster
Jackie and
parents.
I on your foster list,
Okay.
and you can build a list, starting with us. I don't know what our new space is gonna look like in terms of, good
You got a lot of
places.
trees too.
Yeah, they're not too close to the house, though.
Anyway, there you go. That's my landscape report because I'm in hiatus.
Yeah.
Okay. Very
Do you
good.
need any more empty buckets to transplant plants from the old library?
I may.
I think I found a couple in my yard, so.
Cool. Thank you. You can just put them over by the raised beds.
Okay.
If you
Okay, thank you. Bylaws, policy review, that was from the last, meeting.
So did
accepted.
we finish that?
Yep.
Okay. I wasn't really clear whether we'd finished it or not. Okay.
Yeah, I think we just went over whatever I had changed based on, the original policy that was developed in,
Okay.
I think, 2003. I think we agreed
Okay.
on some of the language was kind of messed up, but, so, we don't have anybody on the current policy committee, I don't believe.
Yes, me, she, and Beth Galloway.
Okay, great. Thank you. So, do you guys have a current list of policies that are kind of high priority policies that need to be reviewed? 'Cause
I
We-
don't, but we'll bother.
We do have a list of policies.
Okay.
yes.
But you want the ones that we should review first.
Yeah, I think Beth had developed a list of what needed to be reviewed. I'll have to ask her.
Yeah, if we can
And then I'll send it to you.
prioritize them.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm happy to review them and vote on them, but I don't really want to review policy. Okay. So, library advocacy. So something that, after attending a meeting back in November with Martina, I think it was November, for the MLTA, the Mass Library Trustees Association, which Martina serves on that board now.
How did that happen?
How did that go? Everyone else step back. I don't know.
She got really fired up at that meeting because there was really a lot of good stuff there, and it was really about how we're elected officials and we need to be politicians the same as any other politicians are in town because we vie for the same budget that the rest of the politicians and committees and board members vie for as well. So when we're ever faced with a situation to advocate in town, whether it be meeting with a select board member or any other committee in town that may have control over certain budgets that we see, you need to have an elevator pitch. So that was something that I was able to exercise around Christmas time when I ran into Ed Prisby in Boston. So that was kind of cool. And he's like, "What do you need to advocate for? You're already getting your library." I'm like, "That's not the point." We also advocate with people in town and at the state level as well for making sure that we get the state aid that we've been getting over the past few years, and also that the $250 million bond for the library construction. So one of the things that I brought up around that time was an advocacy subcommittee, because I think generally we all know that we need to advocate, but we don't know how to do it. So really the job of the advocacy subcommittee was just to find ways for us to advocate and then communicate that to everybody else. So Martina and I started off that initiative. Had some good ideas, but we haven't really gotten together in a while. So if anybody's interested in helping us, advocate and finding ways to advocate. Yeah. She's looking at you, Katie.
I'm purposely ignoring that.
Are you
So-
purposely not making eye contact?
No, but certainly if you have ideas for for those of us who do serve on the subcommittee, let us know. So so that's another. So we have the policy subcommittee, we have the walkabout, because we're the stewards of the the building itself. The policy subcommittee. If I didn't mention that. I think that's it.
So Katie, the walkabout is where we walk.
That would be good for you to do.
We walk inside the library at the time when they
Yes.
were, and then we also walk outside the library. And we found, like one time Dana found where it had been raining for a period of time a couple years ago, and she noticed where when you're in a building all the time you don't notice that there was some water damage, and so the insurance company covered that. And so in walking outside, we noticed different things that people who were not all the time don't notice, and then we can get them repaired
That's great.
Do that once a month or so?
once a month.
It's actually fun to do.
You get to see a lot of things you didn't realize were going on.
Maybe you have to go on one. You and I are never able to get one to mesh. Our calendars to mesh.
We will.
Okay, I think we covered everything on the agenda. 8:45. That was a long one. So thank you very much for your time. And anybody else have anything they want to say in closing?
Does somebody want to move to adjourn the meeting?
I moved to adjourn my last meeting.
Ah,
Okay,
Katie seconded.
Alrighty.
Katie's seconded. Any discussion? All in favor of adjourning?
ah.
Aye.